Well, good day to all of you in Rotterdam. My apologies for not being physically present, but fortunately I can speak to you on a virtual basis. Thank you to KPMG for hosting the launch of the pilot program of the IIRC. Why the IIRC? Why pilot program? Well, in July last year, the Global Reporting Initiative and Accounting for Sustainability, we got together and over a discussion we thought it appropriate at this time of the planet's existence to get around the table the major players, investors, standard setters in the corporate world to discuss corporate reporting. And it was an historic meeting which took place in St. James's Palace in London, where we had the leaders of the corporate reporting world present, the IASB, FASB of America, the IAASB, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, the GRI, A4S, the chairman of the Big Four, including the chairman of KPMG, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, WWF, UNEP, so ICGN. One can see disparate bodies sitting around the table, but I do describe it as an historic meeting. Not only that one managed to get these people around the table together, but within an hour there was general agreement that corporate reporting, as we know it today and as developed over the last 100 years, is no longer fit for purpose. And this is so because we live in a changed world. We've got a world with a financial crisis from 2008 onwards. We have climate change, ecological overshoot, sustainability speak for the fact that we've used the natural assets of planet Earth faster than nature is regenerating them, clearly not a sustainable matter. We have evolutionary, revolutionary and radical transparency. We also have greater expectations from stakeholders. So, in addition, you've got population growth. So it's quite clear from these factors that companies just cannot carry on business as usual. And we've got to start learning to make more because of more people on planet Earth, but with a declining natural asset base. Corporate reporting, as we've known it, is essentially financial reporting with a focus on the single monetary bottom line, premised on the basis of the primacy of the shareholder as if there were no other stakeholders of a company. Well, of course, that's yesterday's game, based on two false assumptions: that the planet had limitless resources, we know they're finite, and that the planet had an infinite capacity to absorb waste, make waste, put into landfills, and yet we know that matter degrades and has toxified our lands and our water systems. And the integrated report has a system of reporting because it involves the collective mind of the board articulating its thinking, its integrated thinking, taking the highlights of the financial, the highlights of the sustainability issues, let's assume it's a beverage manufacturing company, and water is the critical factor, dealing with that, how they're going to reuse, replenish and recycle water, so that the trustees of a pension fund, before investing the ultimate beneficiary's money, can make an informed assessment of the sustained creation of value of this business. Now, one of the tools that are going to be used is the pilot program. And the pilot program is some great multinational enterprises and well-known companies have agreed to be pilots. So they will take the guidelines, which we issued the discussion paper on the 12th of September, and use those guidelines of strategic focus, future orientation, inclusive approach of stakeholders, which means that throughout the reporting period you would have a strategic communication with your stakeholders, learn about the needs, interests and expectations of those stakeholders. Management will manage on a more informed basis, and the board will be able to tweak its long-term strategic thinking accordingly. And then the board can apply its mind with that information and set out and hopefully meet the expectations of stakeholders. You have conciseness and you have connectivity between the critical interdependencies which boards have to consider today into their strategic thinking of financial, human, environmental, and social capital, manufacturing capital. None of these things can be looked at as silo anymore. They're all critically interdependent. So the extraordinary thing as well is that the two great challenges of the 21st century are for financial stability and sustainability. And we've learned from the global financial crisis that markets do matter. The financial market is not in a silo. There are commodity markets, gas, oil, coal, derivatives of those markets. What are they? Financial, just in the commodity markets. They're interconnected. And in those markets themselves, there are external regulation and there's internal regulation. Internal regulation involves governance. One of the critical issues of governance is reporting. And it is fascinating to me that the Financial Stability Board finds two pillars of integrated reporting, namely transparency and disclosure, as two important pillars for the future financial stability of the planet. So let me just conclude by saying this, that the assistance of all of you as pilots is to try and test these guidelines over the next 2 years, which will help us develop and finalize the framework for integrated reporting, because we have to accept that corporate reporting is not what it used to be. Thank you very much for being here today. Goodbye.